to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May the peace and blessing of Allah be upon His servant and final messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As to our followers, my dear respected brothers in Islam, inshallah ta'ala, just a few minutes. There's just one phrase in Surah Al-Kahf that we often read, and probably for most of us we don't know what it is. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, Al-malu wal-banuna zinatul hayati dunya wal-baqiyatu as-salihatu khayrun 'inda rabbika thawaban wa khayrun amala. So Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says that al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayati dunya, that the mal, the money, the wealth, the assets that one possesses and one has, wal-banun, and the children, but especially al-banun is boys, is sons, as opposed to girls. That's banat. Banun is boys. So Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying that the wealth, the assets one owns, and the children, I obviously put al-mal before children because to some sick people, money is more beloved to them than their own children. And money would go a long way in terms of, Allah Azza wa Jalla speaks to us, and He tells us in Surah Al-Anbiya, in Surah Al-An'am, that don't kill your children if you fear poverty, because that was something that people, if they had money and that money was sufficient only for them, and they had children and their children are going to come in the way of their money, they kill their children. So it took that Allah Azza wa Jalla would say, وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ خَشْيَةَ إِمْلَاقٍ. Right? So He said al-malu wal-banun, He put the mal before al-banun, because there's some people like that their money is more beloved to them than their own children. What Allah said about it is zinatul hayati dunya, it's a decoration of this worldly life. And obviously in just common understanding and sense, that when you say or describe something to be as a decoration of something, you know that it goes away, because a decoration doesn't last. Whatever you decorate the wall with something now, years go by and it'll die out. You'll need to redecorate, and it dies out for anything you do. So Allah Azza wa Jalla said, al-mal wal-banun zinatul hayati dunya. He's giving us the understanding that it won't last there for long. It's just a decoration during your young ages and your healthy age, and when you have time, you may be able to spend this and enjoy it. But there's going to come a time where all this money is in front of you and you really can't do anything about it, and you'll go away and your banun, your children, will take it. So it's a decoration, it's just there as a decoration. And the children also, they're a decoration. You might enjoy your children for a couple of years as they grow, and then later on, you can't control them. Some people, that's it, he doesn't have contact with his children anymore. No more zinatan, they're gone, they're out of his life. So al-malu wal-banuna zinatul hayati dunya. Now Allah Azza wa Jal, He gives something that is a better, an alternative basically, something that lasts longer and something that is better than all this. Al-malu wal-banun is something that is enjoyed in this worldly life. And opposite to this, something that has that residual effect and remains until the Day of Judgment, remains with you. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He says, وَالْبَاقِيَاتُ الصَّالِحَاتُ خَيْرٌ. Meaning the lasting, the longer lasting good is better with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Khayrun. When He says khayrun, meaning this baqiyatu salihat, which I'll tell you what it is, it's much better than al-mal wal-banun. Meaning, one baqiyatu salihat would be better than millions and millions you have in your account. And what is this baqiyatu salihat? There's a huge discussion as to what it is. Allah Azza wa Jalla is saying it's baqiyat. Baqiyat comes from the word baqiya, which means for something to remain. So obviously what Allah is telling us, that al-baqiyatu salihat, He is telling us it's something that remains. Unlike money and children, it doesn't remain. But this is called baqiyat because it remains. And there are salihat, which comes from the word saluha, which means for something to be upright and righteous. Meaning that these things will make you a righteous person. It'll make you upright. And it'll have that lasting effect until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So then, there's one hadith, an authentic hadith, that clarifies what al-baqiyatu salihat is. So Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, one day he tells his sahaba, خُذُوا جُنَّتَكُمْ. He says, take your protection. Take your weapons, take your shield. So then the companions, they became a bit confused, they're a bit worried and frightened, and they said, "Where, Rasulullah, what kind of enemy is coming? You're telling us take your protection, junnatakum, meaning take your protection. Take your weapon, take your shield, there's some danger coming." And then they said to him, "Ya Rasulullah, where's the army? What kind of enemy is coming? Is someone attacking? We've never heard. We didn't see anything, we haven't heard no news." So then the Prophet ﷺ, he says, خُذُوا جُنَّتَكُم مِّنَ النَّارِ. Take your protection from the fire. Now I mean, take your protection, take your shield, and defend yourself from this fire, protect yourself from the fire. So then the Prophet ﷺ, he said to his Sahaba, Subhan Allah, Al-Hamdu Lillah, wa la ilaha illallah, Wallahu Akbar. These 4 words are the protection. He says to them, they are the protection. And he says to them that they will come on the day of judgment as a protection for one from in front of him. They'll come on his sides and they'll come from behind him to protect him from the danger and the punishment of the day of judgment. And then he said, هُنَّ الْبَاقِيَاتُ الصَّالِحَاتِ. He said, those are the lasting goodness. They're the baqiyatu salihat. So when one says, Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar, then that is al-baqiyatu salihat. And that is what Allah Azza wa Jal compared to al-malu wal-banoon. And one saying of this, you just say it once, it's better than, as Allah Azza wa Jal had said, which is al-malu wal-banoon. And maybe you had millions and millions and many children that you see for yourself. But Allah Azza wa Jal describes that to al-baqiyatu salihat. And in the correct opinion on al-baqiyatu salihat is that it's these 4, especially these 4 words of tasbih, of dhikr, which the Prophet ﷺ already describes in another hadith, that they're ahabbul kalami ilallah. They're the 4 most beloved words to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We've gone through this before, we go through it again because this is something that it's really nice to always recur and to mention and to have a reminder about. Allah Azza wa Jal in Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam taught us that the most beloved words to Allah are these 4 words. Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. Allah loves to hear them. And that's already the whole job done. Because when you love someone, then you go out of your way to find words that the one you love might love these words from you, And we always say that in a relationship, you go out of your way to find words of love that you'll draw your spouse and your partner closer to you. But when you say these words once, now you got to go look for new words of love so you can keep that love and relationship and affection over there and keep it together. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam had already taught us what Allah Azza wa Jal loves to hear. So it's not like you have to go out of your way to look for what Allah Azza wa Jal loves and prove it. Allah, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has said to you, these are the 4 words that Allah Azza wa Jal loves to hear and would always love to hear, and they are baqiyat, they will remain forever to be loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to hear from His slave. And there are of course many other ahadith that refer to other words that Allah Azza wa Jal loves, like Subhanallah bihamdi, Subhanallah al-Azim, in where He said, Habibatani ila rahman. So this is something that one must hold on to. Allah Azza wa Jal and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam had made the job so easy for you. You claim to love Allah and His Messenger, you love to claim Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you claim it, so Allah Azza wa Jalla has given you what you can use so you can prove that claim and you can prove that declaration that you have made, which is, I love Allah Azza wa Jalla. Now prove it. I've given you the 4 words, which you could use forever and ever and ever and never get sick of them and don't get tired of them, because they're words that Allah Azza wa Jalla would consistently love no matter how many times they came out of you. So it's always best to Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. And the ulama have said, obviously, and this is the scary part of it, that as simple as it is, as easy as it is, we know that you don't have to face any qibla when making this dhikr. We know that you don't have to have wudu, and it's not bound by specific time or location. This is wherever you go and come, you say these words. The ulama say, even if you are in a state of janaba, you woke up, you slept, you're coming into the bathroom, you're leaving the bathroom, this is the adhkar that you make. So this is always in your life, you say them, and the ulama, they said, this is what I wanted to say, is that as easy as it is, and as easy as you'd think it is, except that the one that is deprived from it, when you really find that, Allah, 1 week has gone by, I can't remember I said Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, La ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar in it, that becomes a terrible sign. This is, in other words, they said that this is a sign that Allah Azza wa Jal has turned away from such a person. If such an easy deed you found a burden and really difficult, and you couldn't even recall and remember during the day and night to say, then that is a sign that Allah Azza wa Jal has turned away from such a person. So make sure you're consistent on this. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he says, لا يزال لسانك رطبا بذكر الله. Keep your tongue moist with the remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And no doubt, you need to note this, that the best of that would be Subhan Allah, Al-Hamdu Lillah, wa la ilaha illallah, Allahu Akbar. And each and every single one has such a profound meaning in terms of explaining and defining the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Maybe inshallah ta'ala later on we'll go into each one, subhanallah, what that means, alhamdulillah, what that means, and la ilaha illallah, what it refers to, and Allahu Akbar, and what that means, and how do they all come together to absolutely give you this incredible, complete definition of the greatness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah azza wa jal to make us of al-dhakireen Allah kathira, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us people of the Quran, people who benefit from the reminders of the Quran. إنه ولي ذلك والقادر عليه وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.